Here we are in Chapter 5 Review Exercises, numbers 49 through 54 with the solutions. Here we have word problems. Now remember, word problems, the problems are the words. So we need to transfer it over into a math equation where we now have the ability to solve it. All of these, being in this section, are going to be turned into polynomials. So let's make sure we can see a polynomial equation that we then have the ability to solve by getting it equal to 0, factoring it in one of the 5 different methods, and then each piece equal to 0. So Amanda completed her degree as an architect and just finished her first building. If you look at the front of the building, it is in shape of a right triangle. Well, that helps us out. So we got a shape here. And what's the formula with the right triangle? We have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So that's what's going to help us. This is the equation that we're going to put stuff into it. It says one leg, this long leg right here, is 7 meters longer than the other. So if this is x down here, this would be x plus 7. And then the hypotenuse is 17 meters right there. What are the lengths of the two sides? The formula that goes with a right triangle, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, allows us to see what will happen. We've got to put that guy in for a, that guy in for b, and 17 in for c. And we get the equation x plus 7 squared plus x squared equals 17 squared. All right, can we simplify this guy down? What do we need to do? Yeah, we need to multiply this out because we've got to get it equal to 0 and pull this over. So if we square this out, we get x squared plus 14x plus 49 plus another x squared equals 289. Okay, so that's good. We can combine stuff. So we actually now have let's write it over here, 2x squared plus 14x. And if we subtract the 289 over to get it equal to 0, we now have negative 240 equals 0. Check. Step number 1, we now have it equal to 0. So now we're going to factor. Can we pull out a greatest common factor? We can. That's 2x squared plus 7x minus 120 equals 0. What's left here is a trinomial, and the trinomial has leading coefficient 1, so it'll break up into x. Now, what times this to 120? Let's write it out here, 120, negative 120. So we have a 1 and a 120, a 2 and a 60, 3 and a 40, 4 and a 30, 5 and a 24, 6 and a 20, 7, nope, or an 8 and a 15. I'll have to write that up there. I ran out of space. And it's 8 and 15, negative 8 and positive 15. That will work. X minus 8, x plus 15. And the 2 out there equals 0. So when we set each piece equal to 0, 2 equals 0 does not give us an answer. X minus 8 gives us that x minus 8 equals 0. X equals 8 is a possible answer, and x equals a negative 15. Can we all agree that negative 15 is a bad length for a side of a triangle? So this guy, because we are dealing with an actual physical shape, that guy goes away, and our x equals 8. So that means one side of the triangle is 8 meters, and then the other side is x plus 7, which is 15 meters. We need to note that this 8 and this 15, the 15 meters in particular, is not because of this negative 15 here. It's because of that x plus 7 gives us that other one right here. All right, good. That's number 49. Moving on to number 50. Jesse is mowing her backyard that is in the shape of a right triangle. Oh, we get the same exact thing, shape of a right triangle here. We're going to be using a squared plus b squared equals c squared. The shortest leg, this one, is 3 meters less than the second one. So if that guy's x, this guy's x minus 3. And the hypotenuse is 15. So we get the equation x squared plus x minus 3 squared equals 15 squared. Follow the similar pattern to number 49. This is going to be x squared plus x squared minus 6x plus 9 equals 225. So this is now let's write it over here, 2x squared minus 6x, and if we subtract 225 from both sides, we get, is that 216 minus 216 equals 0. Okay, let's factor, let me see. common factor of a 2, and we get x squared minus 3x minus 108 equals 0. This is now a trinomial with leading coefficient 1, so this is one of the fast ones. X and an x. Let's see what times is to 108. Let's write it up here. You can have 1 and a 108. You can have 2 and 54. 3 and 3 and what is that? 36. 4 and 27. 5 doesn't go into it, and 6 and nope, 6 and 18, or 9 and 12. Yeah, 9 times 12. There we go. Negative 9, no, negative 12, positive 9. So x minus 12, x plus 9, and that 2 sits out there in front, equals 0. Set each piece equal to 0, and we get x equals a 12, or x equals a negative 9. And this right here, 2 equals 0, doesn't give us an answer. And look at that, x negative 9 doesn't make any sense as the length of a triangle. So that guy's gone. So x is 12, and that's going to be meters. And then x minus 3 is 9 meters. So here are two answers. Again, we note that the 9 did not come from this negative 9 over here is the second possible answer, but because if x is 12, then 12 minus 3 is 9. Excellent. Number 51. Company's profit can be modeled by the equation. Oh, look, they gave us the equation. We don't have to think too much about it. Profit is in thousands of dollars. That's important, that if they give us the P, this is like if this is 5, that means $5,000 profit. X is the number of products sold in thousands. How many products would the company have to sell in order to break even? So a profit of 0 right there. So if we have a profit of 0, let's solve it. So we have 0 equals 3x squared minus 13x minus 10. We have an equation. Good. We pulled it out of the words. Now we need to solve it. So get it equal to 0. Check. It's good there. Now we need to factor. Is there a greatest common factor in this one? Nope. It's a trinomial. Leading coefficient is 3, so we have to do the AC method. 3 times a negative 10 is negative 30. That's 1 and a 30, or a 2 and a 15, or a 3 and a 10, or a 5 and a 6. And which set of those would add to a negative 13? Negative 3 and negative 10 would, but that would times to a positive 30. How about negative 15 and a positive 2? Yes. So that's 3x squared minus 15x plus 2x minus 10. We now have 4 terms, so chainsaw, chop that guy in half. So if we take a 3x out of the front, we're left with x minus 5. And here we take out a positive 2, which is left with x minus 5 there. Take the x minus 5 out, and we're left with that 3x plus that 2, and that equals 0. So that gives us 2 possible answers. X equals a 5 and x equals a negative 2/3. When we're talking about how many products, this implies 5,000 is an option, and we can produce 5,000 products. This one would be negative 2/3. That'd be like negative 667, and that would be hard to produce that as a real physical entity. So that one doesn't work, so our answer is 5,000 products with x equaling 5. Excellent. Number 52. A picture frame has a length that is 3 centimeters more than twice the width. I'm guessing that's a rectangular picture frame. So let's draw the rectangle here. And it says the length is 3 more than twice the width. And there's the width. So the area is 120. So area is length times width. And if the length is 3 plus 2w, we're going to stick that guy right in there. We get 120 equals 3 plus 2w times w. Go ahead and jump that guy in, and we get 120 equals 3w plus 2w squared. We have a polynomial math equation. Yay, we're in happy math land. Let's get it equal to 0. So subtract 120 from both sides. We get 2w squared plus 3w minus 120. Oh boy. now we factor. Can we get anything out of there? Dang, we can't. So we're going to have to do it the long way. 2 times negative 120 is a negative 240. And we get, let me see, 1 and 240, 2 and 120, 3 and 80, 4 and 60, 5 and, what is that, 48, 6 and 40. We're getting closer and closer. No, let's go all the way down to, let me see, 7, 8 and 30, 9, 10 and 24. Getting closer and closer. What about 11, 12 and 20? It's getting closer. You subtract those, you'll get 8. Dang, this is taking a long one. Let me see, 13, 14, 15. 15 and 16. And we don't get any possibilities of adding to a positive 3. So this is a bad problem. That will have to be fixed. It was intended that that was a 90, and then this would have worked out. Bad problem, don't finish it. You can move on to the others. All right, number 53. Jeffrey has a cylindrical, so we've got a cylinder here, good. Container with a surface area. So the surface area of a cylinder, we would have to look in the appendix for the surface area formula, and it becomes 2 pi RH plus 2 pi r squared. It's a big formula, but notice it has an r squared, and we're going to find the radius. That's why it is in this section. So he wants to know what the radius is, and he does know that the height is 6. So he has 32 pi, that's the surface area, equals 2 times pi times r times h. Now h is a 6. So he has 12 pi r plus 2 pi r squared. Ooh, yuck. This is a polynomial equation. We're going to do it, get it equal to 0. So we're going to subtract off 32 pi from both sides. So we have 0 equals, let's write the 2 pi r squared plus 12 pi r minus 32 pi. 32 pi. Okay, so this is, with all the pi's running around, you're like, oh, could they please go away? Lucky for you, they do. We are going to factor this by taking out the greatest common factor, which is a 2 and a pi. And we're left with r squared plus 6r minus 16. Oh, look at that. How wonderful that is. Does this factor more? Yes, it's a trinomial with leading coefficient 1. R. What times is to negative 16 and adds to 6? That's a minus 8 and a plus 2. Nope, it's a plus 8 and a minus 2. I got those mixed up. So r would then equal a negative 8, and r would equal a positive 2. Those are our two options. Oh, and we could have 2 pi equals 0, and that doesn't happen. Look at that, it went away. Wasn't that nice? So the radius could equal a negative 8 or a 2. This one makes no sense. So the radius is 2 inches. And there we have it. All right, last one. Jill has a small treasure box. So it's a box. Let's draw a box here. There we go. And it can hold a volume of 72 inches cubed. 72 inches cubed. And the width of the box, so this width right here, is 5 inches less than twice the height. So if this is h, this is 2h minus 5. And let me see. Oh, it's 4 inches long. So that's good. So the volume, 72. Remember the volume? We might have to look in the appendix for the formula, is length times width times height. So it's 4 times h times 2h plus minus 5. Let's get that right. Minus 5. Good. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and jump this guy in, and we get 72 equals 8h squared minus 20h. Look at this. We now have a polynomial. We know how to solve it. Get it equal to 0. 0 equals 8h squared minus 20h minus 72. And now factor. Can we pull out a greatest common factor out of here? Well, we can pull out a 4, that's for sure. 4, 2h squared minus 5h minus, what's 72 divided by h? I think that's an 18. Okay, equals 0. Okay, factor this guy, we'll have to do a times c. That's negative 36. So 1 and a 36, a 2 and an 18, a 3 and a 12, a 4 and a 9. Do any of these add up to a negative 5? Yep, negative 9 and positive 4. So this is 2h squared plus 4h minus 9h minus 18. Chainsaw. Take out a 2h, we get h plus 2. Minus 9, we get h plus 2. Excellent. So far, so good. That factors into 2h minus 9 and an h plus 2 equaling 0. It means we could have h equals a negative 2. I don't think so. Negative 2-inch high box. Or we get h equals 9, add 9, and then divide by 2. 9 halves, or 4.5. This one doesn't make any sense, so this is our answer. H equals 4.5 inches. So the dimensions would be 4.5 inches, then 2 times 4.5 is 9 minus 5. So we get the height is 4, and height is 4.5. 9 minus 5 is 4 inches. And there we have it. And then, of course, the length is 4 inches. Good.